We're in Korea. I finally made it to South Korea. I left California on May 3rd and I arrived here in South Korea on May 4th. We landed around like 5:20 p.m. and then I went through all the customs and immigration and baggage claim. After I went to the baggage claim, I tried to find the USO and I asked when the next bus was to the base, and they said, oh, the next bus won't come here until 10 p.m. I'm just like, and the bus just left as well, so that's why the next one would come at 10 p.m. So I had to wait a few hours and I was just so tired. I was already so sweaty. I brought matcha with me, and bless her heart, she hasn't gone to the bathroom or drank anything for over like 23 hours because I put a stopwatch on my phone because I tried to start her anxiety medicine and I was supposed to give it to her every 8 to 12 hours. I couldn't find a pet relief area at Incheon Airport, so I went to the bathroom and they have this changing room, but not for babies. It's like for you to actually change clothes, and it was completely secure. She wouldn't be able to like escape that room. I quickly put her litter box in there, but she would not go. I think she was still very scared. I'm so glad that she didn't really give me a hard time until the end. She lasted around 8 hours on the flight, not complaining, no whining, but after that 8 hours, like, she was done. She was like, let me out of this kennel. I felt so bad for her. She started meowing in the flight. I didn't know how long it would take to get from Incheon Airport to Osan. It took around like an hour, 20-minute drive on the bus. She would not stop meowing. Pets aren't allowed on the bus. I asked the USO, I said, hey, are we allowed to have pets on the bus? And they said, yeah, that's fine. And I was like, okay, thank goodness. But my husband said, make sure that they do allow pets on the bus because I was told no. And that's why I asked, and they said, it's fine, pets are allowed on the bus. But the bus driver came in at 8:30 actually, not 10 p.m. And I was packing all my stuff in and I asked him, I was like, are pets allowed on the bus? And he said, oh, no pets. And I'm just like, what am I gonna do? Like, I already waited hours for this bus and now they're telling me that no pets are allowed. And I just kind of looked at him. I'm just like, oh, well, they said that I'm allowed to have pets. And he said, oh, like he was conflicted. And I was just done. I just needed an answer if I needed a taxi or, you know. And he finally let me go on the bus with the pet on, thank goodness. She was meowing when she was in her cage on the bus. And anytime I took her out, she would like cling onto me, onto my shoulder, and try to like get onto the bus seat. And I'm just like, that's not allowed. Like, no, she's trying to escape. And it was really just such a bad time for her. She would meow when she's in the cage, so I would carry her and she would have tried to escape me. And whenever I just can't handle her anymore, I would put her back in, and then the cycle continues. She meows in her cage, I pick her up. She refuses to be comforted by me, so I put her back in. Finally, I got picked up by my husband. The bus dropped us off at the Turumi Lodge. So, thank goodness that that's where my husband was at too. I almost wish that I did check baggage for her. She was small enough to be put as carry-on, to be put under the airplane. Thank goodness, though, that no one sat next to me. Thank goodness I was able to put her under the seat next to me, not mine, because I wanted the leg room, you know, because like it's super cramped. I don't understand how they do that. I took my PCR test on base. I'm just waiting for those results. We did get approval to go on off-base housing, so that's exciting. I'm really excited to go and explore the area, see which places that we should live in. I've already looked ahead online and like searched YouTube, apartments off base near us, so that will be very exciting. So I'll give you a little tour of our little lodge. We're in the building where they allow pets because obviously we brought our dog and we brought our cat, so we are not in the main lodge, so I don't know what that looks like, but this is where we are at. So this is the front door coming from the kitchen, and this is the kitchen area. And then we have a toaster oven here. fridge. We have a microwave going on. And this is the little living room area. And then it has a nice TV. And this is Ellie's dog crate that she came in, my suitcase. And then this is our bed. And then they have a desk here, suitcase on the floor. They have a chair here. And look at the little artworks. I thought this was interesting. And then we have another TV here. We don't know where we can do our laundry, so we've been just putting our dirty clothes in a bag. But they also have a high chair. And since we are at the pet lodge, they did give us like a pet cage. They gave us a litter box for a cat. And then this is the bathroom. Toilet, shower. So this is what they give you. They give you a safe, some hangers, air purifiers, some electric fans. This is our first PCS. I think we over-prepared just a bit. I watched YouTube videos on PCS binders, and when I made mine, I made several copies. And when I went through customs and immigration, like they didn't check for anything, they didn't ask for anything. It was just very weird. And they didn't even check my dimensions of my cat. I was very nervous because it took a while to find a right carrier that fit Korean Airlines pet dimension policy. So after like following all these rules, it's like almost like we could have gotten away if we didn't follow some of them. But of course, I wasn't gonna do that. It just sucks how like all the effort that you put into like making sure everything's right with your pets and their crate, preparing copies of your husband's orders, the pet's health certificates, the FAVNs. They did check for their pet paperwork when you check in at San Francisco, but they didn't check when I arrived to Korea, except for the weight. They only weighed her when you check in your baggage, but pretty much that's just it. Make sure that when you fly to Korea, you search travel requirements, because for me, at this time during the pandemic, I was supposed to apply for KETA. Make sure you have a negative PCR test printed within 48 hours of your departure, and then make sure you have an address, a Korean address and a Korean phone number to put in all your declaration forms. They gave me like 4 pieces of papers to write. There was like a health declaration form, a travel declaration form, and then like 2 other forms, but it was all pretty much the same thing. And they asked for a Korean address and a Korean phone number. And I was really stressing out about that because I didn't know where I was gonna be, and we didn't have a Korean number yet. So if you're a military, just make sure to ask your sponsor to see if they can provide you an address and a number. Make sure you have a mask. You're supposed to have a mask on throughout the entire flight. Make sure, if you are vaccinated, make sure you put your vaccination records to this Korean site. It's like Q code. That's what I did, because if you do not apply for Q code and don't put your vaccination status in their system, then you have to quarantine for 7 days. If you do the Q code, then you only have to take a PCR test within a day of arrival. I believe after a week you take an antigen test. The Q code website, they also ask you for a Korean address and a Korean phone number, and they are very strict on that. Like, it took so long for me to find a correct address written down. It had to be written perfectly, like to their requirements, and it was hard. It took me like at least 7 different times of like typing it out, making sure it's correct. Good morning. Just as I sat down to go use the restroom, this fire alarm started to ring, so this is awesome. I made the mistake of bringing Ellie. Should have just left her in there. Making a fool out of herself. Oh my gosh, I think it's done. Can you shut up? Good morning. Today is a new day and we are off to look for housing off base. We have a few realtors in mind. But first we're gonna go grab some breakfast at the BX, and hopefully by the time we're done looking at potential apartments, eat, get my SIM card, and then go off base and go from there. They also have a flag shop here. Keep the Philippine flag. I think I want to get a Korean flag and the Philippines flag. We just finished up with breakfast and I was able to get my SIM card. Now we're gonna go off base and look for some realtors. So once you go through the building, you are immediately welcomed by the said Songtang Entertainment District. It's right here. Visiting a few places. Where did we go to? We went to Madison Square 3. We went to Cloud 9, Building 2, I believe. Dream Castle and Noblesse. This is the view from the rooftop of Madison Square 3. It's not looking too good pet-wise. It's not very convenient to let the pet out here. There's literally no place for them to use the bathroom. It's a concrete jungle up. But we are thinking of Noblesse over there because they have a really nice rooftop and turf and grass. It just sucks because this place is what Daniel wanted the most because it's nice and open.